Debbie Lesko. And a representative, yesterday you asked a question we all want the answer to. Why wasn't
Hello.
do we have you, Congresswoman?
You have me. You
All
went
right.
silent for a little bit, but here I am. Thanks for having
Fantastic.
me.
Absolutely. We have a question that we want that you asked a question yesterday on Twitter that I think was a very, very good one. Why wasn't the Capitol secured on January 6th? Given the information the now former Capitol Chief of Police revealed on Tucker Carlson on X, it looks a lot to us. It looks like there was a security failure. Was that part of the plan?
Well, I don't know if it was part of the plan, but it sure does stink to high heaven. I've been asking this question ever since January 6th happened because everybody knew that there may be a problem, right? Just about everybody. I didn't have any special intelligence, but I had told my staff to be prepared to spend the night in our offices if we had to. I assumed that after, Biden was installed in office because there was more Democrat votes than Republican votes. So I figured it was going to happen, that then they might surround the whole area and my staff and myself wouldn't be able to get home. And so I bought extra food for my employees and my staff, assuming that we'd spend the night. But I assumed incorrectly that the capital of the United States of America would be adequately secured, and it obviously was not. And that interview, it's a long interview. It's about 55 minutes long that the Capitol Chief of Police had with Tucker Carlson. I suggest everybody listen to it because it is very revealing and it really makes you question if something nefarious went on there. Because Son said, if I was allowed to do my job as chief, we wouldn't be here. This, meaning January 6th, didn't have to happen. Everything appears to be a cover-up.
Well,
He said there was no intelligence shared or anything with him.
Congresswoman, I agree with you 100%, and I think that you're right. Everybody should look at that the video. We have it posted on our blog site at kfyi.com, the Conservative Circus. But when you do look at it, you're going to have those questions. Then it becomes even more obvious. We're talking about the Capitol, and we're talking about the fact that they had plenty of warning to, that they were going to have a crowd there. They're going to have some protests going on outside. And it seems like Nancy Pelosi and the others ones that made the decision not to provide anything. Like they're going to use what happened on January 6th, to have a commission, to have a hearing, to use it, for indictments. It seems to me, in retrospect, how the whole thing was set up to be used the way it's being used today.
Yeah, well, I certainly hope that in the U.S. House of Representatives, I have talked to the chair of the committee that would investigate this, and I have pushed for an investigation, and others have too, because this is just unconscionable when the chief of the Capitol Police says that normally during these events, the Department of Homeland Security would give some type of intelligence briefing, and there was no document on January 6th, that it was very unusual. He asked for the National Guard, the D.C. National Guard, to help him before the January 6th. And then during the break-in of the Capitol, he begged them over and over again. And he asked the Sergeant of Arms, Paul Irving, who works for Nancy Pelosi, and Paul Irving said, I have to run it up the chain. Well, the only chain above Paul Irving was Nancy Pelosi. And then he was denied. He was denied for a long time. And in fact, the New Jersey National Guard got to the Capitol to help him before the D.C. National Guard got to help him. And then he also said that General Milley had discussed closing down D.C. entirely because he was so worried about the threats and the intelligence that they had. But none of that intelligence was shared with the Capitol Chief of Police. And there's just something really, really funny going on here when all of this could have been prevented. And as you said, now it's being used. It's being used against President Trump. They're indicting him on things related to this. I mean, this question needs to be answered.
We have Congresswoman Debbie Lesko in the center ring of the Conservative Circus. You're right, this question needs to be answered. And there's something else that's very pressing. Because of what I believe is this false narrative of January 6th being an insurrection, we have a lot of Americans who are ending up in jail, who are being sentences, aggressively, 22 years, 18 years. Can Congress do anything for the real victims of January 6th and our completely broken justice system?
You know, I have asked Andy Biggs. So Andy Biggs and I have requested that the Judiciary Committee investigate this and what is happening to the prisoners. And now, of course, they're being convicted. And so I don't know what else we can do. I've asked members of the Judiciary Committee what legally the U.S. House of Representatives can do because of the three branches of government. And I haven't gotten a good answer yet, but I have sent letters to the DOJ, and I have joined with our Congressman Andy Biggs, who does serve on the Judiciary Committee and is an attorney, to try to get to some of the bottom of this. But, you know, for people that did, you know, I haven't been following all of the proceedings, but for people that were bad actors, they need to be held accountable. But, you know, when the other riots that happened in the summer, they didn't even prosecute those people, and then they prosecute people that were walking into the Capitol and didn't do anything, and then we get reports, and I've gotten reports directly from lawyers for these people that were arrested that they're being treated bad and those
Yes.
types of things. It just seems like a total unequal justice system, and we see that playing out in the Department of Justice and the FBI right now, and it could lead to the ruin of our country if we don't correct it.
I think you're absolutely right about that, Congresswoman, and I thank you very much for weighing in on this topic. It is something that I think that we're going to, we'll have a conversation with the Congressman Andy Biggs about that as well. We have him scheduled. But this is something that needs to be a top priority. The Republicans need to be working on truly, freeing these political prisoners.